Good boy, you silly kitty. Come here. What do you have on you? Hmm? What happened?
The show is actually pretty self-explanatory. There was a blonde play. Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. So back in 2009, a reality TV show started to air and it was called Megan Wants a Millionaire. And this was such a stereotypical reality TV show.
In this opulent Hollywood mansion, 17 millionaires have gathered boatloads of cash that no lovely lady to lavish it on.
The title of the show is actually very self-explanatory. There was a blonde Playboy model called Megan and she wanted a millionaire. She wanted to find a wealthy man and become a trophy wife.
You need to have at least $1 million.
Oh my God!
But as this TV show was airing on TV, what people didn't realise is that one of the contestants, a man named Ryan Jenkins, had something much, much darker going on. Because behind the scenes, Ryan was hiding possibly the darkest secret imaginable. And no one had any idea of who Ryan really was. The producers didn't know, the audience didn't know, and this was actually all centered around Ryan's wife, another Playboy model by the name of Jasmine Fiore. And things just go from bad to worse in this case. It is sickening what happens. It really does make your skin crawl. So that is what we are going to be talking about today, so let's jump in. And I just want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, and that is Paradise Pause. And you guys know how much I love mobile games. They are so important to me when I take a break from all of this heavy research and just the stresses of life. I love just picking up a mobile game and just distracting my brain for however long I want to. And one of the best games that I have come across for this is Paradise Pause. Because the whole game is just so cozy and wholesome. It's a charming merge 3 game where you join adventurer Natalie, a Pisces, and her best friend Lizzie, a Virgo, as they explore a mysterious island which was once a thriving animal sanctuary, packed full of adorable creatures. However, there is a problem.
Okay, excuse me. No, thank you. You're just looking at that specific zodiacs, though. Looks like a kid's game, honestly.
Paradise Pause for sponsoring today's video, but thank you to every single one of you watching right now, because truly without all of you guys, I wouldn't get opportunities like this. And now let's jump into today's case. Ryan Jenkins was born on the 8th of February 1977, making him an Aquarius. And he grew up in the city of Calgary in Canada, where he lived with his parents. And growing up, Ryan came from a very privileged background. That's actually kind of an understatement. His dad was a prominent architect and the family had a lot of money. He also lived in a place called Upper Mount Royal, which I read is like one of the richest, most like wealthy, desirable places to live in Canada. So yeah, I did go on Google Maps and the houses are crazy. They're crazy big. Ryan was also rubbing shoulders with a lot of other privileged children as well. He went to a very, very fancy school, but then Ryan did used to misbehave a lot, so his family actually shipped him off to boarding school. But Ryan had a very privileged upbringing. He didn't have to want for anything. And that definitely built his character because he has a huge ego and he also goes around thinking that he's better than everybody else. And he also thinks that he's completely untouchable. And I can guarantee you that is because of his upbringing. So after Ryan graduated college, he did start working for the family business, which was a real estate development business, and pretty much straight away, he was promoted to president of the whole company without actually having to do anything. If that is not nepotism, I don't know what it is. So Ryan now has a ton of money pouring into his own pockets, and he started living this extremely lavish lifestyle. I mean, to be honest, he was already living a very lavish lifestyle, but now he's actually being paid himself. He's also president of the whole company. So yeah, it's definitely going to his head. He was partying every weekend. He would be always like ordering limos to take himself and all his friends around. He definitely was living a celebrity lifestyle without being a celebrity. Ryan and his friends would just go around in their limos and just try and pick up women. Ryan saw himself as a real ladies' man, and he loved to chat at women, and he thought he was really good at it. And Ryan had a very specific taste in women, which was skinny, blonde hair, and big boobs. That was it. He didn't care about anything else. He was all about appearance. He literally reduced women to the way that they looked.
I typically date girls that turn heads. I love the chase.
Ryan's friends have actually said that he became obsessed with large breasts, and he would hire strippers all of the time, and his specification for the stripper was that they had to have big boobs. The bigger, the better. He was also into what has been described as very kinky sex. He would apparently throw these sex parties, and apparently he would just try and sleep with as many women as he could at these parties. He would apparently also hire strippers for these parties, and he would make these strippers simulate sex with whipped cream. And I'm like,
game.
Whatever. And apparently this was Ryan's thing. He really enjoyed this, but apparently it just made his guests really uncomfortable, which I'm not surprised. And like I said, Ryan himself thinks that he's a ladies' man. He thinks that he's really charming. He thinks that he can pick up any woman that he wants and they will just fall at his feet. However, in reality, that was not actually the case, because Ryan developed a reputation for just being this obnoxious creep. People actually referred to Ryan and called him a creepazoid because he would just come on really strong with women, and like I said, he would really objectify women, reduce them to the way that they looked. And I think as well, because of his ego, because of his money and his position of power at his job, he just thought that women would fall at his feet and do whatever he wanted. He had a reputation for having very unusual sexual interests. He would also grope women, and he would force women to kiss him. Like, he would meet a woman, chat them up, and then he would literally launch himself on these women to kiss them. And I'm like, that's sexual assault. But that is who Ryan was. He just thought that he had the right to do anything that he wanted with anyone that he wanted. But this is where things now get a little bit darker, because Ryan enters into a few long-term relationships, and shock horror, they're not good relationships at all. Because at this point, we are approaching the mid to late 2000s. Ryan is approaching his 30s. And this is when Ryan started to become extremely aggressive and violent in the relationships that he was entering. Because Ryan is a domestic abuser through and through. He was constantly flying off the handle and assaulting the women that he was in a relationship with. In 2007, Ryan was actually arrested, and he pled guilty to assaulting his girlfriend, to which he got 15 months probation. But he was also forced to undergo counselling for a violent and sexual addiction. But he really just got a slap on the wrist, really. And again, I'm like, privilege. After this, Ryan actually got engaged quite a few times. And I'm like, yeah, engaged quite a few times, because something that you need to know about Ryan is that he pretty much proposes to every single girlfriend. And I'm not joking there. There was even a time where he met a stripper in a nightclub for the first time, and he proposed. He also got engaged to a relatively well-known model called Paulina, who had modelled for Hugo Boss, La Senza, and Samsung. And shockingly, that engagement actually lasted for 2 years. However, the whole relationship was very unstable. But now we get to 2008, and this is when something pretty significant happens, because it's the global recession. And during the recession, Ryan's dad's company, which was a real estate company, completely collapsed. The family lost a ton of money. Ryan himself apparently became broke. The family had also been doing some dodgy dealings behind closed doors, so they were also in trouble with the law. It was just very, very messy. Ryan's fiance also left because he had no more money, and yeah, like I said, it was a very unstable relationship. And by the time we get to the start of 2009, Ryan needed to completely start over his life because he had nothing, and he wanted to make money back. He was used to living a certain kind of lifestyle, and he wanted that power and that money back. But Ryan needed to figure out, how was he going to make all of that money back? And what was Ryan's big plan? Well, it was reality TV. That was how Ryan was going to make all of his money back, get his power back, and hopefully also get famous in the process. So Ryan applied for a ton of different reality TV shows in the US, and he finally got accepted to one of them. And it was a VH1 reality show called Megan Wants a Millionaire. And it was a pretty generic reality TV show. It followed a very familiar pattern to a lot of TV shows. And the show's title is pretty self-explanatory. An ex-Playboy model by the name of Megan Hausman wanted to date a wealthy man and become a trophy wife. So Megan Wants a Millionaire.
I love to clean. Grabbing money. What could be better?
So the show had 17 so-called millionaires appear on the show for Megan to choose which millionaire she wanted. However, I think we need to address the elephant in the room, because Ryan is not a millionaire. He's broke. But apparently he lied on the application and said that he was a millionaire, and clearly there was no background checks done because they believed him. But again, it's reality TV, so who knows how much of this is actually true. But Ryan gets accepted for the show. So in February of 2009, Ryan goes to LA to start filming this show. And you can see some footage of this show online.
I'm a little bit of a Prince Charming, a little bit of a bad boy.
Yummy.
And it's very cheesy. A lot of reality TV is, especially that follow that kind of format. And throughout the show, Megan goes on various different dates with all of the different millionaires because, she has to choose which one she wants.
I know who the man is that you should choose to love.
Tell me.
There was also ridiculous challenges involved. There is actually footage of Ryan on the show because the very first episode, Ryan introduces himself to Megan.
Hello, Megan.
Look, we're matching already.
We are matching. You met any Canadians before?
Never.
Well, it's about time, don't you think?
Absolutely.
His bio said that he had a net worth of $2.5 million.
Save me a spot for dinner.
Oh, no.
Which is obviously not true. Maybe it was that in the past, but it's not that anymore. Throughout the show, Ryan was trying to woo Megan. He portrayed himself as a ladies' man, but also a little bit of a bad boy. And apparently, Megan really liked this.
The note says Megan's going to be testing us on her man. Perfect. I'll just with my pants.
In various episodes, you can see her sitting on the sofa with Ryan. They're kissing. Megan is saying that Ryan is one of her favorites. And you can probably guess because Ryan, he is obsessed with women that look a particular way, and Megan is exactly his type. So throughout filming that show, Ryan actually became infatuated with Megan.
I tell you this, when we get married, I want to get rid of this.
He immediately fell in love with her, but he falls in love with pretty much every single blonde that he comes across. However, apparently Megan has a little bit of a thing for Ryan as well.
It's good of you to shoot me first.
This card is for you.
Thank you. The guys are super jealous of me at this point. I got called up first, so I'm golden.
Behind the cameras, the two of them were actually speaking a lot over the phone. And this was completely unscripted. The producers didn't know. It was not part of the show. It was all done in private because Megan genuinely liked Ryan, and Ryan apparently liked Megan. So when the two of them were privately speaking on the phone, Megan was saying to Ryan that Ryan was her favourite, that she wanted Ryan to win, that Ryan was who she wanted to pick. But because this is a reality TV show, none of it is real, and none of it is actually reality. It's all completely scripted and fake. And Megan doesn't actually get to choose the winner. And the producers, they didn't like Ryan. They didn't want him to win. They wanted to choose the winner that would be best for TV. And apparently Ryan came across as really unlikable, which he is really unlikable. That's true.
Well, I can't legally work here unless I'm married.
Oh. So you don't just keep her green card.
So the producers, they didn't want Ryan to win. So in the end, Ryan was kicked off of the show in the penultimate episode before the grand final, and someone else won. And Ryan was furious. He was so angry, and he was so angry at Megan because he felt like Megan had lied to him. because Megan behind the scenes was saying, I want you, I pick you, I want you to be the winner. And she was promising all of these things, but then they didn't happen. But ultimately, I think he was most angry about the fact that he wasn't going to win and he wasn't going to get the fame and the glory from winning. Because ultimately, that is the only reason why he was there. The only reason why he was participating in the reality TV show was for money. And I don't think there was a cash prize for this reality TV show because ultimately they're supposed to be millionaires and they're supposed to win Megan. Megan is the prize, so I don't think he was actually going to get any money. But if he won that reality show, it could have led to bigger things, and that is what he was angry about. And he was furious at Megan. He felt like this could have really launched his reality TV show career and ultimately make him a lot of money. However, we don't actually have much footage from this show, Megan Wants a Millionaire. We only have a little bit from the first few episodes, and that is because this show was actually cancelled as it was airing. The rest of the show was never allowed to air, and there is a good reason for this cancellation, which we will soon find out. So after the filming of the show, before any of it was aired, Ryan, because he's in a foul mood because he didn't win the show, flew straight out to Vegas. He wanted to blow off some steam, he wanted to party and get drunk, and he wanted to hit on strippers. And it was during this trip to Vegas that he would now meet a woman by the name of Jasmine Fiore, and things now start to go downhill very quickly. So who was Jasmine? Jasmine was born on the 18th of February 1981, and she grew up in Bonnie Doon, California. And Jasmine was described as a very warm and outgoing child. She loved animals, loved sports, she was very athletic. She also loved fashion and beauty and modeling from a very young age. And she also had dreams of becoming an actress. But when she was 8 years old, her parents got divorced, which caused a lot of upheaval in family. Jasmine's mom, Lisa, struggled financially, which meant that Jasmine quite often went without. However, by the time she got to high school, things did turn around for Jasmine. She was very, very popular in high school. It's said that as a teenager, she had a, quote, very eye-catching appearance, and Jasmine did get a lot of attention from other boys in her school. But it was when Jasmine graduated from high school, she wanted more from life. Like I said, from a young age, she wanted to be an actress and she had dreams of becoming a model. But where she grew up in Bonnie Doon, it is really, really remote. And I looked on Google Maps at Bonnie Doon, and oh my god, it is so remote. There's literally nothing there. The homes are like just these little cabins. You can't even really see the homes from Google Maps because wherever you drop your bag, you can't really see a house because it's literally just forest. There's just all of these little cabins in the woods. And to me, that sounds like the perfect place to live. But for Jasmine, it was a bit too small. It was a small town and she had big dreams. She wanted to become a celebrity and live that kind of lifestyle. She wanted to be partying, be famous, make a lot of money. So she made the decision to move to LA. So she moves to LA and this is when she's in her early 20s. Initially, she got work as a receptionist, which helped her get by. But it didn't take long for Jasmine to actually start her dream. And that was modelling. And Jasmine started to work towards becoming a swimwear model. And in order to do this, Jasmine felt like she needed to change her name. Because it turns out that Jasmine Fiore is not actually her birth name. Her real name was Jasmine Lepore, but she didn't like her name. She just didn't feel like her name fitted with someone that was a celebrity. So she changed her name to Jasmine Fiore. And Fiore, I've read, is the Italian word for flower. And Jasmine started to make a lot of changes in her appearance. She dyed her hair bleach blonde, she got Botox, and she got breast implants. And after making these changes, this is when Jasmine's career really started to take off. She got a ton of jobs for various different bikini campaigns, which you can see these images online.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. Today I'm shooting with Rob and Leslie, and we're in beautiful Malibu. We're enjoying the sun and the beautiful scenery. Go Hope you enjoy the photos.
She also spent some time living in Vegas for work as well. She was now working at live events. She worked as a body painting model at very big, lavish events in Vegas. She also featured in adverts for late night adult chat rooms. You can see footage of Jasmine saying, "Hey guys, come and chat with me."
Come on, guys, get out your cell.
That's weird. Oh, bless you. God bless. I don't like that. I don't mind that. Grace Fuel says Matthew 11:28 through 30, and then also 28. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest. I don't like that. You know, I'll call out somebody trying to abuse people through scripture, but that was beautiful.
And text girl to 85,000 and chat with wild singles like me right now.
And Jasmine was also doing some other work on the side to earn a bit more money. She did a few things in real estate. She also worked in fitness because one day she had dreams of opening her own gym, but she never actually got around to doing this because the modeling work just kept pouring in. She was very busy, and she now is living the celebrity lifestyle. She even dated some celebrities. You can see her at all sorts of red carpet events. There is one video online of her walking down the red carpet with UFC fighter Taito Ortiz, and when she's walking down this red carpet, literally the whole time, the cameraman is panning down to her breasts. Literally, he's zooming in on her breasts, and I'm like, is this actually real? Oh my god, that is so disgusting. That is so degrading. I can't believe that this was actually happening. But then I remember that this is like the 2000s and the 2000 paparazzi culture, so what did I expect? Jasmine also started working at Playboy at this point as well. She never actually featured in the magazine, but she would work at all sorts of different events for Playboy. Apparently she was a representative of the Girls of Golf event. She also attended parties at the Playboy Mansion, and other Playboy bunnies have said that they remember hanging out with Jasmine. By the time we get to 2009, Jasmine is currently 28 years old. She's still very much fully involved in the modeling world. This is when she meets a man by the name of Ryan Jenkins. And things are about to take a very disturbing turn from here. Things escalate very quickly. Because in March of 2009, Jasmine was currently in Vegas, and we don't exactly know why she was in Vegas, but she did work there a lot, so maybe she was there for a work event, or maybe she was just there relaxing. We don't know. But Ryan is in Vegas, and this is right after he has finished filming the reality TV show Megan Wants a Millionaire. He's in Vegas, drowning his sorrows. So one night Ryan is at a casino and he sees Jasmine, and she instantly caught his eye because Jasmine is Ryan's type. So Ryan turns on his usual creepazoid ways and he tries to woo Jasmine, and unbelievably it works. The two of them immediately hit it off. They spend the rest of the night together partying, having fun, and I cannot believe I'm about to say this because just 2 days after meeting, on the 18th of March 2009, Jasmine and Ryan got very drunk, and they both ended up at the Little White Wedding Chapel on the Vegas Strip. They got married. They got married after 2 days of knowing each other. The only witness to the wedding was an employee at the chapel. They didn't tell any of their friends or family. They literally just went and got married. And people have actually later said that Ryan only got married to Jasmine as a rebound from Megan, which again, I'm just like, why did he even think that a relationship with Megan would be a good idea? It's like, people don't actually fall in love on reality TV. I mean, maybe there's some rare examples of that happening, but like, it's all fake. But Brian is so petulant and childish that he just rebounds and gets married. It's crazy. He literally got married to the first one woman that he came across, which unfortunately was Jasmine. And following the quick...
She then ignored super chat. Oh, you want me to respond to somebody asking me to show my feet? You can send me money if you want, but I don't have to do whatever it is that you're requesting. That's weird. I'm watching a true crime documentary and doing yoga with a cat and a candle in my chat, and you're asking to see my feet. For $1.99 at that. No. If I was doing something like that, you couldn't afford me anyway.
Wedding in Vegas. Jasmine
Which
and
I'm not.
Ryan, they actually carry on being married, which shocks me. I'm like, why are you still married? Like, why have you not on an annulment? But anyway, they start living together, and this is when things start to get really, really toxic because they live this very fast-paced lifestyle. They actually don't have a home together. They're constantly moving from one location to the other. They just stay in fancy hotels or short-term rentals. They pretty much just stay anywhere that they can find, and they were partying all the time, trying to live this celebrity lifestyle, and it was just non-stop. Ryan would post all of these videos on his MySpace trying to say, look at me, look at how amazing my life is. And he literally just used to use these videos to brag about himself. He would be hard saying, look at how amazing my life is. Look at how sexy my wife is.
My wife.
It was all me. I'm the best. Look at me. Don't you wish you were me? He even posted a video of Jasmine dancing above him provocatively, and then he turned the camera around on himself and he points to himself and says that he is the luckiest guy in the world. And those videos really do just sum up the relationship for Ryan. It was all about him showing off. He was trying to portray that he was living the life. And he was so happy that he was living his perfect life. That he had a...
What are we watching and listening to? This is Daniel Kirsty. The title is Reality TV Star Gets Crazy Jealous and Murders Another Celebrity Star.
Money. He was living this lavish lifestyle that you should envy him. But meanwhile, behind closed doors, that was not the true picture. Because just like he had done with his previous partners, Ryan was very physically abusive with Jasmine. He would beat her if she ever angered him. He would take out all of his rage and frustration on her. He also became incredibly controlling. The whole relationship was just completely toxic. Ryan became insanely jealous if Jasmine was ever around other men. He didn't like the attention that she got from other men, and Ryan soon started to accuse Jasmine non-stop of cheating on him, which was not true whatsoever. And because of all of this, he actually banned Jasmine full stop from talking to other men. He then started going through her phone every single night, making sure that she wasn't cheating on him, just monitoring everything that she was doing. And just 3 months into the marriage, in June of 2009, Ryan was arrested yet again for domestic violence. He was charged with battery because apparently he punched Jasmine in the arm, and this had happened in public. And there was a witness. And who did the witness just so happen to be? Well, it was one of Jasmine's ex-boyfriends, a man named Travis. So Jasmine was hanging out with both Ryan and Travis, and Ryan was insanely jealous of this. He did not like this, and he accused Jasmine.
Serendipity. I fully understand. Circadian rhythm isn't ideal due to the cortisol levels and such. Yeah, absolutely. But I did take a nap for a while before coming here. I came at midnight, and I'm going to go get some rest in a little bit. And then I have some appointments and stuff to take care of this afternoon, so my rhythm will balance out. Just on the night shift tonight.
Kissing Travis when his back was turned, which again was not true. And Ryan became so angry,
lovely, isn't it?
He pulled his fist back and he punched Jasmine as hard as he could in the side of her arm, and he sent her flying into the swimming pool. The police were immediately called and Ryan was charged, but he denied all charges, and he was actually due to stand trial for this charge later on that same year in December. However, we will soon find out that trial would never actually go ahead. But anyway, we will get back to that. It is currently July 2009, which is around a month or so before the terrible events of today's case. And you'll never guess what Ryan does next. Well, he goes on to another reality TV show. He got a place on the reality TV show I Love Money. And again, it's pretty much your stereotypical reality TV show.
Not too much shut You are spineless. Only one morning. Smells like humiliation.
This show is apparently a cross between Survivor and Love Island. And all of the contestants are ex-reality TV stars, and they all compete on Island for the chance to win $250,000.
17 former celeb reality cast members are about to start the adventure of a lifetime. It just so happens that they all have one thing in common. They all went on television looking for love.
So Ryan traveled out to Mexico for the filming of this show, and he's around a lot of people on this show, a lot of women, and it's all very dramatic. There is a lot of relationship drama. People are hooking up everywhere.
Friendships will be broken.
I slept with both of them before, so I'm thinking that there might be a little problem.
Last night, you weren't with me.
And it's pretty much the perfect environment for Ryan. And I can't tell you if Ryan was hooking up with anyone, because this season of the show has never actually been aired. We don't have any footage, so I don't know what Ryan was like on this show. But all I'm going to say is that it wouldn't surprise me if Ryan was hooking up with other women. Doesn't matter that he's actually married. And there was actually a good reason why anything from this series of I Love Money wasn't aired, but we will get to that, unfortunately, very soon. However, what we do know is that after filming this show, other contestants that featured alongside of Ryan have come forward and said what Ryan was like on the show. And unsurprisingly, they said that Ryan could be very creepy. And they actually referred to him as Ryan the serial killer during filming the show, which, yeah, should trigger alarm bells. But even more disturbingly, in the show, Ryan was actually cast to play the wealthy millionaire who was obsessed with his blonde-haired girlfriend, i.e. Jasmine. Like, that was actually what he was cast to portray. And producers would constantly film Ryan phoning Jasmine on the show. And it's crazy because Ryan, as he's filming the show, he's phoning Jasmine, constantly asking her, what are you doing? Who are you with? Where are you going? What time are you doing this? And he's literally controlling Jasmine over the phone whilst he's filming a reality show. And the producers are filming this because they think that this is content gold for their show.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But what is actually happening is he is still being a
Right
controlling
on,
abuser, but it's being
Hold on.
filmed for TV. It's absolutely sick. But the producers almost turned it into this little comedy section of the show that, haha, Ryan's so obsessed with his
No.
girlfriend. Jasmine just had to
Reactionless. No, I'm just ignoring you. I laughed and responded back to emo, right, Kirkman? Kirk, and also Max, and just ignoring you because you're an asshole.
with this. And Ryan was still accusing her constantly of cheating on him, even though there's a good chance that he's probably cheating on her filming that reality show. But what Ryan had no idea about is that Jasmine also had taken a little trip to Mexico herself. Jasmine had actually flown out to Mexico for a little vacation with an ex-boyfriend of hers, a man named Robert, but they were also with another mutual friend, a woman named Christina, and I just want to stress this, it was completely platonic. Jasmine was not cheating on Ryan, it just so happened that she was with an ex, but it was an ex that she was still friends with. And you can see footage of Jasmine from this vacation with Robert, and it was just a friend's trip away, but Jasmine could not mention this to Ryan because we all know how Ryan would react. He wouldn't let Jasmine do anything, let alone actually go on vacation with ex. So Jasmine had to lie to Ryan about this whole thing, and Ryan had no idea that Jasmine was also in Mexico on a vacation herself. But anyway, back to Ryan filming the reality show. You will never believe what happened because Ryan actually won the whole thing. I cannot believe it myself. Ryan won this reality show, and I don't know how because he's a creep. And he was coming across as a creep on that show. I mean, the contestants called him Ryan a serial killer, but he won. He won all of the challenges, and in the final episode, he won the whole thing, which meant that he won the cash prize of $250,000. And Ryan was over the moon about this. He actually did phone Jasmine straight away to tell her that he had won. Ryan told Jasmine that this money was going to change their lives, that it was going to make everything better. But what Jasmine didn't realise is that none of that was actually going to come true, because something incredibly chilling was about to happen. Because we now get to August of 2009. This is approximately a month after Ryan has finished filming the reality show in Mexico. And it is the 13th of August to be specific. And Ryan and Jasmine
CashApp is in the description.
another hotel. This is the Del Mar in California, and they're planning to stay at this hotel for the weekend. And obviously Ryan had won this reality show, he had this cash prize, but I'm not sure if he actually had the cash yet. Don't really know how those reality shows work and when the contestants who win actually get the prize, but Ryan was spending it up like he did have the cash prize. So there is footage of Ryan and Jasmine arriving at this hotel. They arrive in Jasmine's Mercedes. You can see them wandering around trying to find their room. And at about 2.5 hours later at 6 p.m, both of them emerge from their room and they're dressed very fancy. Apparently they were attending a charity poker tournament and they were dressed up, they were planning on partying the night away, which is pretty much what they did every night. But apparently on this evening, Ryan was getting very angry, more angry than normal. And he was playing poker and he was just getting really, really worked up. He kept getting very angry at Jasmine. He apparently didn't like how Jasmine was talking to him at the poker table. He said that she wasn't respecting him enough and they were seen arguing in front of other people. And Jasmine, she actually just went on her phone and she started messaging somebody. And who did Jasmine start to message? Well, she was messaging her ex-boyfriend, Robert, the one that she has literally just gone on a vacation with to Mexico that Ryan doesn't know about. And in these messages, Jasmine said, quote, "I'm done with this," meaning that she's done with Ryan. And she also said, "Get in your plane and come and pick me up." So Jasmine wanted her ex-boyfriend to show up and save her from her husband. It's very easy to forget that Jasmine and Ryan are married because it happened so quickly, but it seems like Jasmine is just completely done with this relationship. And she was sending all of these messages while she was sat at the poker table, and Ryan looked over her shoulder and he saw all of these messages. He snatched the phone out of Jasmine's hand and he read all of her messages, realized that she was texting an ex, and he probably also saw messages about their trip to Mexico. And he went ballistic. He would not let this go and he was absolutely furious with Jasmine. And eventually, later on that evening, after the event had finished, they got into Jasmine's car and they drove back to their hotel room. However, when they pulled up outside of the hotel, this is when Ryan just...
Here too, actually. We live on the East Coast, we see sunlight first. That's right. Actually, where I am on the East Coast, in this particular spot, the sun rises here first out of anywhere on the East Coast. So it rises probably, depending on where you are, here first before it even hits you.
And he started viciously beating Jasmine in the car. And he beat her up worse than he had ever beat her up before, because he was already physically abusive, but this time he went further than he had ever done before. He punched her in the face. He actually broke her nose. Jasmine's face was pouring with blood. There was blood everywhere in the car, all over the seats. And then this is when Ryan stopped beating Jasmine up, because he suddenly realized, how am I going to get Jasmine into this hotel without anyone seeing her? Because she's literally broken her nose, there's blood everywhere. People would notice. But this is when he realized that their hotel room was on the ground floor and he had a rear patio door that they could sneak into. So Ryan drove the car to the back of the hotel, locked Jasmine in, and then Ryan can be seen running back to his hotel room, entering through the main lobby, goes into the hotel room, opens up the patio door, and drags Jasmine inside. And this is when things go from bad to worse instantly. Because once they were back inside of the hotel room, Ryan snatched Jasmine's phone out of her hand. He wanted it out of her reach because he didn't want her able to call for help. Now, everything else that happens from this moment forth has been pieced together by detectives. The only people that actually know what happened are Jasmine and Ryan. So it is now believed that an argument broke out between the two. Ryan pleaded with Jasmine to not go.
It's not a kid. This is not a kid's app. But if you are a kid, then you should be telling YouTube honestly what your age is, and you should be on YouTube for kids because that is a separate app on the download stream thing, I believe. Is it not? So if you're here and you're under 18, that's a you problem because all of my stuff's listed for 18 plus.
Police about what he has just done because he didn't want another domestic abuse charge. Because don't forget, in December.
Not because I'm doing anything weird, not because I don't do like OnlyFans or I don't do anything like that. But you see, we've got nasty, perverted people. I'm just chilling out with a cat on a yoga mat, listening to a true crime. But we still have weirdos asking to see my feet and whatever else in the comment section. That's not child appropriate. So that's right. This is an 18 plus stream. We go from topic to topic, like I'm sitting here calling this out, calling out sexual deviants and perverts and what have you. No, I wouldn't say that this is a kid-friendly topic. So yeah, this is 18 plus and they shouldn't be here, but that's a them problem if they're coming here and choosing to be here. Yeah. And subsequently, we're listening to a true crime about death and murder. I wouldn't call that kid-friendly either, but I'm not. All of my stuff's listed for 18 plus for those reasons. It's not my problem. I'm in my house doing what I'm supposed to. If they're not here, that's a them violation.
Of that year, he was supposed to stand trial for another domestic charge. Which, come to think of it, how the hell was he allowed to film another reality TV show when he had a domestic violence charge against him and he was awaiting trial? How did they not do any background checks? But anyway, Ryan was worried that if she phoned the police, this time he would go to prison. It is also believed that Jasmine probably told Ryan to go screw himself because she was going to go to the police and she wasn't about to let him get away with this again. And given the conversation that she was having with her ex, it can be strongly assumed that Jasmine didn't want to be with Ryan anymore. So why would she protect him? But after these exchanged words, Ryan became so enraged.
No, you're good, Kirkman. You make me laugh. You're good. You haven't done anything wrong. Weird is not a bad thing. Sometimes people come on here, I know you're new, but they try to call me weird as an insult. It's not a fucking insult. You know what my little friend group in high school was called? That's what I called us, the weirdo brigade. It's not an insult. I don't want to fit in with a bunch of gray blob, basic, monotonously obnoxious assholes. No.
He started viciously beating Jasmine once again, and things quickly escalate. Ryan just keeps getting angrier and angrier. He just would not stop beating Jasmine, and she tried to fight him off, but he overpowered her. And tragically, this is when Ryan placed his hands around Jasmine's throat and he started to strangle her. Jasmine was desperately trying to fight him off. We can only assume that she was probably terrified of what Ryan was capable of and what he was doing. But heartbreakingly, there was nothing that Jasmine could do. She could not fight him off any longer. And sadly, due to strangulation, this is when 28-year-old Jasmine Fiore lost her life. Which is just so sad. This poor woman, it does seem like she wanted to end this relationship. She wanted to get out. She wanted to move on with her life. Put everything with Ryan behind her because he is an abuser. But she lost her life before she was able to do that. But sadly, it gets worse from here. It gets more brutal and more gruesome. Because after murdering his wife, Ryan was determined to get away with this murder. And how was he planning on getting away with the murder? Well, he wanted to make sure that no one could identify Jasmine's body. So the first thing he does, he goes to a local hardware store. And this is the early hours of the morning at this point, and he was captured on CCTV doing this. And he picks up a few tools from the hardware store. He then returns to the hotel room, and he starts disfiguring Jasmine's body by cutting off all of her fingers and removing all of her teeth. Let that sink in. And this is all happening in a hotel room. He literally removed the end of all of her fingers and her thumbs so she didn't have any fingerprints. And he literally pulled out every single one of her teeth. This is why he had gone to the hardware store to get the tools to do this. And that is just so sick that he thought to do that so instantly. But then after he has removed all of her fingertips and all of her teeth, he decides to disfigure Jasmine's face even more so you cannot recognize her. He then removes all of her clothes and stuffs her body into a suitcase. He then drags the suitcase outside through the patio area, puts the suitcase in Jasmine's car, and he drives to a nearby dumpster and throws the suitcase inside. Ryan then returns to the hotel room. He cleans up, and I'm like, how did he clean up that crime scene? Because that would have been very messy. But he seemed to have cleaned up the crime scene very well because he removed all traces of blood, and when he checked out of the hotel room, the staff were not suspicious. It just looked like a normal hotel room. And I'm like, how did he clean it up so well? But when he did check out of the hotel room, he did not have a suitcase, and he was seen carrying all of his clothes in his hands. And then he leaves the hotel room, truly believing that he has gotten away with this. But what happens next? Well, around 24 hours later, Jasmine's body was discovered. At around 7 a.m. the next morning, a bottle collector was going through the dumpster looking for empty bottles when they found a blood-stained suitcase. They opened up the suitcase and they found a naked woman who was completely disfigured. The police were immediately called, but they had no way of identifying the body. They literally could not identify the body. They had nothing to go on. Ryan had done a very good job at disfiguring Jasmine's body. I mean, she obviously had no teeth. Her face was completely unrecognizable. She was also missing all of her fingertips. There was literally just exposed bone at the ends of her fingers. And the police had no way of figuring out who this woman was, which is actually just scary because right now it seems like Ryan could get away with this. The police actually thought that this must have been some kind of cartel murder or deranged serial killer. That is how brutal the disfigurement was. But later on that same evening, around 9 p.m, this is when Ryan, believing that he is being all clever, calls 911 and reports Jasmine missing. He pretends to be the concerned husband. He's like, oh my God, I haven't seen her all day. She went out to get her nails done and she never returned. And a couple of more days pass and Ryan genuinely thinks that he has gotten away with this because he thinks either Jasmine's body will never be discovered or if it is discovered, it will never be identified. So Ryan actually flees to Canada, hoping that he can disappear forever. However, back at the coroner's office, this is when they come up with an ingenious idea of how to identify Jasmine's body because Jasmine had breast implants and they were going to use her breast implants to identify her. So during the autopsy, they removed Jasmine's implants and on the implants there was a serial number and they could use this serial number to trace back to the person that had the breast augmentation, and this is when they were finally able to identify Jasmine's body using her breast implants. And that is crazy. Imagine if she didn't have breast implants. How would they have identified her? They probably wouldn't have been able to, but now they knew the identity of this woman, Jasmine Fiore, and things moved very quickly from here because they soon learned that Jasmine had a husband by the name of Ryan Jenkins, and they learned that he has reported her missing. They find out that the two of them recently checked into a hotel and there is CCTV footage of the two of them entering the hotel. They then locate Jasmine's Mercedes, which has been abandoned by Ryan in a nearby parking lot. Forensics is run on the car and they realise that it is covered in Jasmine's blood. They then examine the hotel room, and even though Ryan had done a good job of cleaning up the crime scene, there was still traces of DNA all over the room, and there was Jasmine's DNA
like that
everywhere.
noise.
There was blood everywhere, all over the
It's on
floor,
your
all over the
couch.
patio. And there was
On our couch.
CCTV of the two of them checking into the hotel, but then only Ryan checking out. So things are looking very bad for Ryan. So at this point, we are almost a week after Ryan murdered Jasmine, and Ryan is still in Canada. And this is when he learns that Jasmine's body has been found, and the police have issued an arrest warrant for him. Ryan actually called his dad. He called his daddy to try and help him and save him from this situation, which again just screams to his privileged upbringing. But his dad had been detained by police and couldn't help his favourite son out of this one. So Ryan fled immediately and he went on the run, and he was driving around Canada for around 24 hours, and he was just desperately thinking, how am I going to get out of this? However, he couldn't think of a way out of this. He felt completely trapped. So on the 21st of August 2009, exactly a week after Ryan murdered his wife Jasmine, Ryan checked into a motel room and he took his own life. He was later found by motel staff, and he was found hanging from a clothes rack by his belt. The police were called, and when they arrived at the scene, they found a note on his computer which said, quote, "To those of you reading this, you may have heard on the news what a monster I am, but the true monster was Jasmine. I loved her with all my heart. I'd do anything for her." And he never explicitly confessed to the murder in this note, but police believe that he basically did. It was a clear-cut case. They knew that Ryan had done this, and because he had taken his own life, there would be no trial, and he would never have to face justice for his crimes. And I think it's absolutely despicable that in his note, he's blaming Jasmine. He's calling Jasmine a monster. And it's like, why? He's guilty. It's obvious he's guilty. And in the aftermath, the news of this murder went public, and people were stunned. I mean, these two people, Ryan and Jasmine, they were somewhat celebrities, because Jasmine, she was a somewhat well-known model. She had worked for Playboy. She had been pictured on red carpets. And as for Ryan, well, he was a reality TV star, and unbelievably, the reality show that he had filmed, Megan Wants a Millionaire, that show was currently being aired. An episode of that TV show aired just 2 days after he murdered Jasmine, which is just crazy, because this TV show is being aired, and you would think that Ryan would be reveling in the attention. I mean, he's on TV. This is what he wanted. Surely that should be feeding his ego. He'd be on a massive high. But instead, he brutally murdered his wife and completely disfigured her body. And 3 episodes of that reality show had aired up until that point, which is why we do have some footage of Ryan from that reality show. But obviously, after the news broke that he had murdered his wife, VH1 cancelled the entire show. And to this very day, the remaining episodes of that show have never been seen by the public. And as for the other show that Ryan filmed, the I Love Money reality show, because if you remember, he actually won that one. So that was currently season 3 of that reality show, and that whole season was cancelled. The whole season was cancelled before it even had a chance to air. So even though they had filmed the whole thing, they flew all of these contestants out to Mexico to film it, they couldn't use the footage. They couldn't use anything from the show because Ryan had won the whole thing. And the production company apparently lost $12 million from pulling the show, which, yeah, that as well is absolutely crazy. And apparently this whole incident with Ryan and everything that he has done, it would actually change the face of reality TV entirely. Because going forward, there was going to be much stricter background checks on the contestants to make sure that nothing like this ever happened again. Because I personally think that it's crazy that he even got a place on that second reality TV show, I Love Money, because he already has a domestic violence charge against him and he was awaiting trial. And if they had just done a background check, that's a red flag right there. He should never have been on that second show. And this case is just horrible in so many ways. Ryan was so cruel, he was so manipulative, he was so controlling, he was so angry. And I think it's so sad that Jasmine, she got caught up in his world. She got completely charmed by him. She was in this whirlwind relationship, romance, this marriage, which is crazy that they got married after 2 days, but she wanted to leave. And it's just so scary that he had only known Jasmine for 5 months before he murdered her. And I just want to end this video focusing on the victim from today's case. Jasmine Fiore was described as kind-hearted, outgoing, and full of life. She had a magnetic personality, she was deeply loyal and compassionate, and even though she worked hard to grow her career as a model, she had dreams of opening her own gym one day. She had so much more she wanted to do in life, and all of this was taken from her far, far too soon. She was only 28 years old. And my heart goes out to Jasmine's family, who were absolutely devastated in the aftermath of what happened, and I just hope that they're all doing okay. So that brings us to the end of today's incredibly sad case. As always, let me know your thoughts, theories, and opinions, and don't forget to leave me your case suggestions in the comments down below, because I always want to know what you want to hear next. Thank you again to Paradise Paws for sponsoring today's video, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.
Daniel Kirsty, ladies and gentlemen. God, my darlings. I'm going to bid you adieu. I will go back through later and see who's being nasty in the chat and just block them in the future. Thank you for telling me. But it is time to rest. Sweet dreams. Grand rising. In between, for those on the intern, and I'll catch you on the next one.